Hello viewers, welcome to Tradabulls. So whatever improvement from last 2 days, so today it was a small break for Nifty. Majorly with tonight there is a bigger news in US, Fed rate cut decision. The recent low was 23,816 to today's close was about 24,200 mark. So still it's 400 points up. And with yesterday's high, it was about 24,500. From that high to today's close was about 300 points negative. So out of 700 points with small minor swing, so there are about 40 to 45% of the points has been down. That is 24,200 was today's close. And still banks and IT are showcasing towards positivity only. So both weekly indicator and monthly indicator for both banks and IT are still in a bullish plus, whereas Reliance was down by around 1.5%. So whatever appreciation happened yesterday, about 1.5%. So same percentage was decreased today. So overall, Nifty was in bearish because of mainly with Reliance negativity. Both banks and IT are showcasing towards positive movement. So as per charts, so Nifty short-term trend was positive. So yesterday trend got changed towards positive side, and mid-term trend still it is indicating towards negative side. And when we compare with the last 2 weeks data, so today's close is also about 24,200 level. So last week's low and before last week's low also somewhere 24,150 level. So at least tomorrow if it closes at the same point, that is 24,200 level, we may expect some positivity in the upcoming week. So technically, the last time when the market was stuck in 24,000 to 25,000, so this was a head, and from here to here it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks was stuck in between 24,000 to 25,000. And here also right now this is shoulder 1 and this is shoulder 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5th week, which was in between 24,000 to 25,000 mark. So earlier, somewhere in July to September, it took 8 weeks to come out from that range, 24,000, 25,000. Now, from last 5 weeks, it was in between 24,000 to 25,000. So if it closes above 25,000, then we may expect all-time high another time. So as long as it holds 24,000 mark at least, so we may expect some positivity from Nifty too. So recent low is most important. So if it breaks again, so we may expect till 22,800 levels. So 24,000 mark or 23,800 would be the stronger support for market. So now these two are most watchable numbers. So 25,050 level and 23,800 levels. If it breaks 25,050 level, it may retest another time 26,000 mark and 26,300 mark, which was the recent high. Whereas if it breaks towards downside, below that 23,800, we may expect another 1,000 points towards downside. So coming to long-term trend was still positive only. So October month didn't close below that long-term trend, so which is 24,050 mark. So 24,050 mark is now it is acting as both short-term trend as well as long-term trend, and mid-term trend was somewhere 24,850 level. So coming to Bank Nifty, so bank's long-term trend still positive and short-term trend is in positive, whereas mid-term trend it is indicating towards downside only. So this is 6th week, market is very close to the midterm trend, which is 52,650 level. So even yesterday also it's almost all 52,500 level. So if it closes above that 52,650 level, we may expect 54,500 and 58,000 levels. Whereas IT long-term trend was in positive and short-term trend was in positive, whereas mid-term trend was in negative. So for all three major indices, Nifty, Bank Nifty and IT, short-term trends are positive, long-term trends are positive, only mid-term trends are in negative. So with this week or next week, we may get clarity how the mid-term trend is going to change. So if it breaks mid-term trend towards positive side, we may expect all-time highs once again. And coming to Reliance, so Reliance, all three trends are in negative, short-term, mid-term and long-term trends. So yesterday it was close to short-term trend, but it didn't close above short-term trend, so which is 1326 level. So still we may see somewhat negativity from Reliance. And coming to the major indices, Nifty 50 candlestick view. So the entire damage was within first 1 hour only. After that, the entire day was completely in narrow range with about 20 to 35 points only. And as per trader view, so today's close was close to 24,200 level. So last month's low was 24,074. So which is 0%. So the next probable numbers would be 24,500, which was touched yesterday, and 24,774, 24,990 and 25,200 levels. Whereas Bank Nifty, so today's close was just below 52,000 mark. So exactly 51,916. So last month's range, when we compare with the last month's range, it is just close to 61.8% of last month's range. So now when we compare both Nifty, Bank Nifty, Nifty was just near to last month's low, whereas Bank Nifty was close to last month's 61.8% of the range. So tomorrow if it closes above 52,073 mark at least for half an hour or 1 hour, so we may expect 52,600 and 53,235 levels for either tomorrow or coming week. So IT 41,750 was today's close and 41,760 was indicated last month's 50% of the range. So both banks and IT both are somewhere at 50% and 61.8% of the last month's range, whereas Nifty was just near to that 0% of the last month's range. So both banks and IT are very much stronger. So we may expect some up move from here. Sentiment wise, so today's sentiment was negative for Nifty. 45 out of 50 were negative and only 5 were positive side. So ICICI Bank, Reliance, Hindalco, Infosys, Bharati Airtel, HDFC Bank and Tata Motors and Trent was in negative side, whereas only Apollo Hospital was towards positive side. So from last 4 days data, so 31 out of 50 were negative and only 19 out of 50 were positive. So only IT pack with TCS and Infosys was in positive side, whereas Reliance was major contributor towards downside. After that ITC, Bharati Airtel and ICICI Bank. So from banks, so today's contribution was towards downside by ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank and IndusInd Bank, Kotak Bank. Whereas positive side SBI, Federal Bank and Bank of Baroda. So somewhat public sector banks are doing well and SBI was with 30 points positive, whereas last 4 days data is indicating 50% of the counters towards negative and 50% towards positive. So this week the major downside contributor was ICICI Bank and Axis Bank, whereas positive side SBI and HDFC Bank. So IT, so yesterday it was completely towards positive side. Today it's little bit profit booking happened and 7 out of 10 were closed on negative side, for intraday and 3 out of 10 were positive side. Majorly Infosys and Tech Mahindra was downside, whereas TCS and Persistent was towards upside. So coming to last 4 days data, only one counter was negative from IT pack, that is Emphasis. Otherwise remaining 9 were doing well. TCS, Infosys both are doing excellent. So this week 4% upside from TCS and 2.5% positivity from Infosys. So coming to index top 10s, so today's intraday data was indicated 6 out of 10 were negative for Nifty and 5 out of 10 were negative for weekly data. Whereas banks, today's intraday data was 7 out of 10 were negative, whereas 4 out of 10 were negative on weekly data. Coming to IT intraday data 4 out of 10 were towards negative and 8 out of 10 were towards positive on weekly data. Coming to heat maps, today's best performer was Apollo Hospitals with 6.5% positive side, whereas downside Hindalco was around 8.5% down and Trent was down by around 6.5%. Whereas last 4 weeks data is indicating Apollo Hospitals was up by around 5.6%. After that SBI was around 4.7% up. HCL Tech and TCS both are somewhere 4% up. Even BEL also 4% up. Downside, Trent was down by 9% from last 4 days data and Hindalco was around 6% down and Grasim and Titan were about 5% downside. So coming to previous range percentage, so the short-term indicators, daily, weekly, monthly are indicating towards downside. So today's intraday data, 35 out of 50 are downside and only 10 were positive side. Whereas last 4 days data was indicating 24 counters are indicating downside and 15 were towards positive. And as per monthly data, 34 was towards downside and 7 were positive side. Indices wise, Nifty was somewhat negative. Next 50 is Fin Nifty and Nifty are towards negative and remaining indices like next 50, IT, Bank Nifty and Mid Cap are towards positive. So among all indices, Mid Cap is doing well. So still the range of the previous range of the percentage it is indicating 106%, which is till today's close was greater than last week's high. So mid cap is trading above last week's high. So today's close is very good close. So comparatively all indices mid cap is doing well. So that's all about today's analysis. So especially Nifty was closed near to 24,200 mark. So the next positive probable numbers would be 24,500, 24,850 and 25,050. So if 25,050 was broken, so that is somewhat 50% of the mean reversion of the latest swing. So at least if it closes above 25,050, so we may expect some fresh buying opportunities. So market may retest all-time high once again. Otherwise, if it breaks recent low, that is 23,800 level, so we may expect another 1,000 points towards downside till 22,800. So the bigger numbers towards downside is 22,800 and towards upside it would be either recent high, that is 26,377, or the next probable numbers would be 28,500. At least 25,569 is the trend changing number. So now markets are closed below 24,336. So we may expect some support at 24,025 and 24,650 was the major resistance points. So that's all about today's analysis. We'll meet on next analysis. Thank you so much.